In the last lesson, we wrote our first program and we ran it successfully. In this lesson, we are going to go deeper. We'll understand what actually happens when you run a Python file. We will learn about errors and how to read them. And we will practice writing and running more Python scripts. Let's open the Ubuntu Terminal. We need to go into our working directory, which is Python Learning. You can see that we have hello.py from the last lesson. Let me split the terminal tab. I will use the right hand side to open and edit files in Vim and the left hand side to run the files. This way, we can see the code and its output at the same time, which will make the explanations easier to follow and understand. Now, before we write more code, I want you to understand what happens behind the scene when you run a Python file. When you type Python 3 space hello.py and press enter, Python reads your file from top to bottom, line by line, and executes each line one after the other. This is very important to understand. Python does not jump around. It starts from the very first line and goes down to the last line, executing each instruction in order. Let me show you what I mean. Let's open python.py in Vim and add more lines to it. Switch to insert mode and let's add 2 more lines below the one we already have. Now press escape, save. Let's run the file using Python 3 space hello.py. You can see that it printed all 3 lines, one after the other, in the exact order we wrote them. First, it printed hello world. Then it printed my name is additional. Then it printed I am learning Python. This confirms that Python reads and executes your code from top to bottom, line by line. But Python is fast enough to read all the lines of code one after the other within milliseconds. Now, let's talk about something very important, which is errors. Every programmer encounters error. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. Errors happen. The most important skill when dealing with errors is knowing how to read them. If you can read an error message, you can find the problem and fix it. Let me show you what an error looks like in Python. Let's deliberately make a mistake. Let's remove the closing bracket from the first line. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file using Python 3 space hello.py. You can see that it gives us an error. You can see this small angle sign. Whenever you see it in a Python error message, it means that that particular area it's pointing at is the cause of the error. That means that The open bracket after the print command is the cause of the error. Now, more information is given below. Let's read it carefully. The error says syntax error, open bracket, was never closed. That means that we opened a bracket, but we didn't close the bracket, which means that we broke a rule of the Python language. This is like if someone is speaking English language and uses past tense verbs in a situation where he's supposed to use a present tense verb. People listening would say that such a person has broken a rule of the English language, which is called grammatical blunders. Likewise, in programming languages, you need to follow the rules of the language so that you won't run into errors. Syntax error means we broke a rule of the Python language. In Python, every opening bracket must have a matching closing bracket. Since we removed the closing bracket, Python is telling us that the bracket we opened was never closed. Also, if you look here, the error shows us the name of the file that has the error, which is hello.py, and the line number where the problem was detected, which is line 1. This is how Python communicates with you. When something goes wrong, it tells you what type of error it is, which file has the problem, which line the problem is on. So when you see an error, don't panic. Read it carefully. It is giving you all the information you need to fix the problem. Now, let's fix it. Switch to the insert mode and add the closing bracket back. Press escape, save. Let's run the file again using Python 3 space hello.py, then press enter. You can see that it works perfectly again. The error is gone. Let's look at another common type of error. Switch to insert mode. Now, let's change the word print to print with a capital letter P on the first line. Save. Let's run the file. You can see that it gives us a different error this time. You can see that the small angle signs are under the word print. That means that the word print is the cause of the error. Studying the error further, you can see that the error says name error. Name print is not defined. So, what does this mean? Name error means Python does not recognize the name you used. In Python, print with a lowercase p is a built-in command, but print with a capital letter P is not. Python treats them as completely different things. This is because Python is case sensitive. Case sensitive means that uppercase and lowercase letters are not the same. Print in lowercase all true is not the same as print that starts with a capital letter P, and also print that starts with a capital letter P is not the same as print that has all its letters to be capital letter throughout. So always be careful with your uppercase and lowercase letters when writing Python codes. Now let's fix the error. Change the print capital letter P back to print with small letter p. Save. Let's run the file again. You can see that everything is working again. Now let's practice creating more Python scripts. Let's create a new file. Let's name it greetings.py. Switch to insert mode. Let's type the following codes. Save. Let's confirm the file is created by typing ls. You can see that we now have both hello.py and greetings.py here. Let's run greetings.py with the command python3 space greetings.py. You can see that it printed all the lines perfectly. Let's create one more file for practice. Let's name it facts.py. Press I to switch to insert mode, and let's type the following codes. Save. Now let's run it with python3 space facts.py. You can see all 5 lines printed on the screen, one after the other. Notice that Python executed them in the same order we wrote them, from top to bottom. Now let me show you something interesting. So far, we have only been printing text, but print command can also print numbers. Let's create a new file to see this. Let's name it numbers.py. Switch to insert mode. Then let's type the following codes. Save. Now let's run the file with python3 space numbers.py. You can see that it printed all 3 numbers. Now notice something important. When we printed text, we put it inside quotation marks, like the print hello world. But when we printed numbers, we did not use quotation marks, like print 100. This is because in Python, text and numbers are treated differently. Text is always written inside quotation marks. Numbers are written without quotation marks. This is a Python rule you need to remember. We will talk about it in much more detail in the next lesson when we cover variables and data types. Now let's push all our new files to the GitHub. Let's go and check the GitHub. You can see that all our new files have appeared in the repository. If we click on any of them, you can see the code we wrote.